skedLIVE. It is November 1st, and I am your news host, Sabrina Robinson. Here's what's making news now. In local news, 3 13-year-olds out trick-or-treating last night were struck by a car during a train reaction crash. The collision took place around 8:30 p.m. on Lawrence Avenue at Don Mills Road. The 3 teens were later rushed to hospital with serious injuries. Toronto police say one driver may have been speeding while the other was allegedly drunk. The other driver is charged with criminal negligence, causing bodily harm and dangerous driving, while the other driver is charged with impaired driving. Police stated that the 3 teens are in stable condition. A Toronto woman has been charged after alleged unauthorized searches of the police database. The accused, 30-year-old Devita Federico, recently worked for Toronto Police Service in records management. She has been charged with breach of trust and unauthorized use of a computer. The Toronto Police Service's professional standards conducted the investigation. Police have stated that the unauthorized searches took place between April and July of this year. The accused is scheduled to appear in court on December 12th. Now over to Robert Bellardi with your sports news.
Thanks, Sabrina. Humber College is the first school in Ontario to bring home over 500 OCAA medals. For the past 10 years, the athletics department have dominated the sports stage. They have earned 205 medals. 111 of those are gold. Last year, Humber passed Seneca for the most medals. Out of the 26 schools here in Ontario, only 4 have over 400. Humber's men's golf team lead the charge with 63 medals, accompanied by the badminton team with 54. One of the best NHL captains is coming to Toronto tonight, and no, it's not Sidney Crosby. The youngest captain in NHL history, Connor McDavid, returns to Toronto for the first time. McDavid missed out on last season's visit due to a long-term upper body injury. Tonight's game will feature a highly anticipated matchup between McDavid and Auston Matthews. Both players were first overall choices back-to-back years. McDavid leads the league with 12 points, and Matthews is not far behind with 10. Puck drops at the Air Canada Centre at 7:30. You can catch the game on TSN4. In the Air Canada Centre last night, the Toronto Raptors defeated the Denver Nuggets 105-102. The nail-biting victory saw Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, and Jonas Valanciunas all have a dramatic impact. DeRozan led the game with 33 points and 5 rebounds. Kyle Lowry also breaks out with 29 points of his own with 7 assists. Valanciunas had 12 points and 9 boards. Following a binge of home games to begin the season, the Raptors head out on the road to Washington tomorrow. Tip-off is at 7 p.m. Eastern in the nation's capital. Over in Ohio, the Cleveland Indians host the Chicago Cubs tonight for Game 6 of the World Series. It's been an exceptional postseason for Cleveland. Manager Terry Francona gives credit to their shutdown bullpen. In a press conference, he said, "When you're the home team, you hit last, so you can get to your bullpen and use them differently, and that's a huge advantage." Relief pitcher Andrew Miller has earned himself a spot in MLB history. He has the most strikeouts as a reliever with 29. Cleveland hope to end the series tonight against the Cubs. First pitch from Josh Tomlin is at 8 p.m. on Sportsnet. Here come the champions, or at least the Champions League. Europe hosts a variety of group matches today in Europe's biggest soccer, or if you want to call it football, competition. Besiktas are currently hosting Napoli in Turkey. Other featured matches today include PSV versus Bayern Munich in the Netherlands and Ludogorets versus Arsenal in Bulgaria. The match of the day is Manchester City against Barcelona in England. Pep Guardiola is seeking justice following a 4-0 defeat in his return in the Nou Camp. Lionel Messi thought the occasion was fitting to score 3 goals against his former coach. Guardiola said the performance needs to be almost perfect to defeat them. All games are on TSN, beIN Sports, and Fox Sports, soccer at 3:45. Former Houston Texans superstar Andre Johnson announced his retirement from the NFL. He spent 12 seasons with the Texans before joining the Indianapolis Colts in 2015. This season, he was with the Tennessee Titans. Johnson was the 3rd pick overall in the 2003 draft. He has 1,062 receptions for 14,185 yards, worthy of 10th place all-time amongst all the receivers. The Texans tweeted a video and some kind words for the Hall of Famer. That's all for the sports news. Now back to Sabrina.
Thanks, Robert. In international news, 6 people are dead after a Baltimore bus crash. It was reported that a transit bus and a school bus collided this morning around 6:30 a.m. The school bus initially hit a car and struck a nearby pillar before getting back on the road and colliding with the commuter bus. Baltimore police have confirmed that all of the fatalities are adults and there were no children on the bus when the incident occurred. The school bus driver and 5 people aboard the commuter bus were killed. Rescuers transported 10 people to local hospitals with injuries. Investigators are working to pinpoint what caused the crash. A new ABC tracking poll shows Donald Trump 1 point ahead of Hillary Clinton just a week ahead of Election Day. The poll shows Trump at 46%, with Clinton behind at 45%. This comes days after the FBI announced the reopening of the investigation surrounding the Clintons' email controversy. Meanwhile, other polls conducted by the New York Times and the Telegraph shows Clinton and the Democrats at a higher chance of winning the election. The U.S. election will take place on November 8. And now, over to Sam Layden with your entertainment news.
Thanks, Cabrina. In entertainment news, Bill Cosby goes to pretrial today over his sexual assault allegations. The comedian has had 60 different women accuse him of sexually assaulting them before, during, and after his time on The Cosby Show. Today's pretrial is a chance for him to dispute the evidence piled against him and get the case dismissed. That evidence includes a statement from Cosby himself where he admits to buying drugs he would give to women he was pursuing, and testimony from 13 of his accusers. The official trial for all allegations is set for June 2017. A conclusion to the Rolling Stone defamation trial is expected today. The popular entertainment magazine published a story in 2014 about a gang rape on the University of Virginia campus, but evidence from police and inconsistencies in the accuser's story debunked the entire article. Fast forward to now, and the university's administrator, Nicole Aremo, is accusing the magazine of defaming her in the piece. Federal courts dropped part of her charges yesterday, while her civil suit remains intact, and will hear closing statements from attorneys today. In an interview with Vanity Fair, pop artist Adele opened up about her struggle with postpartum depression. Adele had her first child, Angelo, in 2012, and during that time, she says she had to cope with feeling like she'd made, quote, the worst decision of my life. In the interview, Adele describes postpartum depression as always feeling inadequate as a parent and how being around other moms helped her see she wasn't alone. Adele says she never wants to have another kid, which is okay with her because her soon-to-be husband has a daughter from a previous relationship. So 4-year-old Angelo already has a big sister. Former One Direction member Zayn Malik has written a book and it comes out today. In the self-titled autobiography, Malik talks about his struggle with anxiety and a possible eating disorder, something he's never been public with before. Malik canceled multiple performances with his former bandmates, and at the time, reasons weren't totally explained. Now Malik opens up about his anxiety, stopping him from performing, and also says the nerves that came with being in One Direction may have led him to go 2 or 3 days at a time without eating anything. While in One Direction, Malik was hesitant about talking about his mental health, but after being out of the band for almost 2 years now, he's tired of the excuses, saying, quote, anxiety is nothing to be ashamed of. I know I have fans out there who have been through this kind of thing too, and I wanted to be honest for their sake, if nothing else.
You shouldn't be fighting on your own. And if you feel you're sinking, I will jump right over into.
In the spirit of Diwali this week, EDM group Major Lazer released a Diwali remix of Justin Bieber's song Cold Water, which accompanied an announcement for a new album to drop in January. Major Lazer's new album will be titled Love is the Weapon and was supposed to be released earlier this year. That obviously didn't happen, so let's hope this new release date stays true. Love is the Weapon is rumored to be featuring Fifth Harmony's Camila Cabello, Travis Scott, The Weeknd, and many more. Speaking of The Weeknd, the Scarborough born and raised R&B artist is set to be the new face of H&M. He'll be featured in the Swedish fashion brand's upcoming menswear collection, Spring Icons selected by The Weeknd. His latest album is set to drop at the end of this month on the 25th, and after that, he'll be kicking off a tour in Stockholm, Sweden come February 2017. And thanks to raccoons, Toronto will be featured in one of the most beautiful shows in the world, Planet Earth. Planet Earth is a BBC nature show that just got renewed for a new season. The show goes around the world documenting planet Earth's wildlife and their various environments. The new season starts on November 8th, but we aren't sure of when Toronto will be making an appearance just yet. In the Toronto featured episode, titled Cities, commentator David Attenborough takes viewers through 12 urban areas to document animals living among the humans. And just last year, Mayor John Tory waged war on Raccoon Nation for destroying residential green bins. But now the furry little bandits could put Toronto in a very different spotlight. And now to Kaylee Annetz with today's business and technology news.
Thanks, Sam. This morning, Statistics Canada released their report on the last quarter for the economy with growth at 0.2%. A substantial amount of growth came from the goods-producing sectors, including mining and construction. Oil and gas extraction also rose 0.9%, returning to levels previously seen before maintenance shutdowns and the Alberta wildfires. Due to Canada's dependency on oil, the economy has struggled to regain the same financial status prior to the oil price drop in 2014. The Canadian dollar currently stands 75 cents to the American dollar. As of May 2018, all cars and some small trucks in Canada will have to be equipped with rear-facing cameras. Transport Canada says these cameras will help prevent accidents with children, elderly, and disabled pedestrians, as well as other hazards. CBC reports the requirements comes after the department makes efforts to raise the standards to the same as the United States. The U.S. announced similar regulations in 2014 with a deadline of 2018 for compliance. If you've ever dreamed about opening a coffee shop, now might be the time to buy big. Second Cup Coffee Chain is currently having talks about their future due to financial struggles. The Mississauga-based company acknowledged they do not know how they will reach their 3-year plan and are looking for strategic options, something that could lead to selling the company. Revenue dropped in the last year from $9.3 million to $7.7 million, with sales at existing stores dropping down 2%. Some suggested buyers are Cara Operations Limited, owners of brands Harvey and Swiss Chalet, as well as Costa Coffee and UK-based brand. A deal was signed between BlackBerry Limited and Ford Motor Company today, the first time BlackBerry has ever worked directly with an auto manufacturer. The deal allows Ford to expand the use of BlackBerry's QNX operating system and security softwares in their vehicles. The QNX system is currently used in 60 million vehicles around the world. The terms of the deal are confidential at this time, but the agreement has allowed Ford to add features at a faster rate. Carrying on in Ford news, the company has also reached a deal with Unifor, the union representing its workers. The tentative deal was met with Ford agreed to new investments in the Windsor, Ontario engine plant. The investments, worth $700 million, will allow the plant to make new engines and will create job openings within the plant. The agreement was reached last minute, just barely avoiding a strike from their workers. Unifor's Ford Motor Company members will vote on the deal Sunday, but has been recommended as favorable by all members of the bargaining committee. In international business news, BP Oil Company is continuing to adapt to the dropping oil and gas prices. The corporation reported to be down 48% on their usual earnings during the third quarter. Although their numbers are down, BP has reported their earnings are higher than expected, a result of cutting costs and spending. The company said that it is ready for oil prices at $50 to $55 a barrel, down more than $100 from the previous year. Major oil companies have been cutting spending, scrapping projects, and negotiating funding since prices began falling in 2014. And now back to Kabrina with more of today's stories.
Thanks, Kaylee. Gasoline and diesel prices are escalating after a major fuel artery was damaged on Monday in Shelby, Alabama. The Colonial Pipeline that supplies much of the East Coast and with gasoline and diesel and jet fuel has been cut off. The pipeline was damaged after equipment being used by a work crew struck one of the lines. The incident caused a fire resulting in the death of one person while leaving several others injured. This is the second major incident on the pipeline following the primary gasoline shipping route being shut down due to a leak in September. The closure is said to be causing a lot of concern about price spikes and fuel shortages among people in the Southeast and Atlantic coast. More than 1.4 million people have checked in on Facebook to show their support for protesters opposed to the new pipeline in Standing Rock. According to BBC, activists have asked people to falsely check in on Facebook to confuse police about the number and identity of those protesting. Protesters believe that the local police department is using Facebook's location feature to compile a list of activists protesting the pipeline. The local police department released a Facebook response stating, quote, "The Morton County Sheriff's Department is not and does not follow Facebook check-ins for the protest camp or any location." This claim, rumor, is absolutely false. Protesters have been camped out in Standing Rock since April, but tensions are spiraling after protesters clashed with police and tents and vehicles were destroyed. And here is Alexa Dimitruk with today's weather forecast.
Thanks, Kabrina. It's currently 10 degrees outside with an expected high of 17. We were wondering whether students were going to take advantage of the warm weather or if they're excited for the winter season. It's going to be a pretty warm week. Are you going to take advantage of the warm weather?
Yeah, I'm planning to probably go for a walk when I get home.
Kind of. I mean, like, we'll probably be cooped up indoors doing assignments anyways, yeah.
I mean, like, there's a lot of, like, projects due, so mainly focusing on that.
Guys excited for winter?
Yeah.
I'm excited for snow. I'm excited to play around and stuff like that.
No. Since I commute, it's a little bit traveling because I drive with a car. So winter can be sometimes a little hazardous.
Now back to the studio with the 5-day forecast. There's a chance of showers tomorrow, but the temperature stays warm with a high of 17 and a low of 10. On Thursday, we'll have some showers throughout the day with a high of 13 and a low of 2. The first weekend of November will be mainly sunny. We'll start out on Friday with a high of 8 and a low of 5. On Saturday, we'll see some clouds with a high of 12 and a low of 5. On Sunday, it will feel like 10 throughout the day. Don't forget to put the clocks back an hour this Sunday for daylight savings time. That's all for weather today. Now back to Kabrina in the newsroom.
Thanks, Alexa. Today, for the first time in 2 years, Iraqi forces have made their way inside the city of Mosul. 3 weeks ago, Iraqi government launched the largest military offensive in Iraq since the U.S. invasion to take down Saddam Hussein in 2003. Right now, the Sunni Muslim group ISIS holds the city. Losing the city would be a major defeat for the jihadist group. The story is currently developing, but the fight for Mosul is expected to take months. 15 people are dead following a gas explosion in western China. It has also been reported that 18 other mine workers are still trapped under the shaft of the coal mine. The explosion occurred yesterday before noon inside the Jinghankuo gold mine in China's Chongqing region. Authorities said hundreds of rescuers are conducting an all-out search for those still trapped. Only 2 miners are confirmed to have survived the blast. China has rejected a plan by Donald Trump to back out of the Global Climate Change Pact. China's climate chief stated that he believes a wise political leader should make policies in line with global trends. Trump has also threatened to reject the Paris Agreement, a global plan to battle climate change that up to 200 governments have agreed to participate in. The chief stated that he believes Trump's move would affect the economic and social progress of the U.S. The Trump campaign has yet to respond to these statements. That's your news for today. I'm Kabrina Robinson. Until next time.